Greetings and salutations, loyal viewers of this channel. My name is Sean, and today we're going to talk about a problem that is almost a perfect distillation of the problems in the city of New York, and that is the fact that we have a two-tier justice system, and no office exemplifies the two-tier justice system in the city of New York quite like District Attorney Alvin Bragg's office, who of course doesn't prosecute anybody for anything unless of course it's politically expedient to do so, a la the prosecution of Donald Trump, the prosecution of Daniel Penny, the attempted prosecution of Jose Alba, and all the different various times he decided to put his thumb on the scale to go after the law-abiding while constantly catering to the criminal. Well, in this particular story, that backfired because an ADA that works in his office, one of these woke prosecutors that follows Bragg's marching orders of letting people off time and time again, was recently attacked and robbed in her own apartment building by an illegal migrant gang member that of course had been arrested 6 times that we know of right now and was released without bail all 6 of those times. It's an absolutely crazy story. The guy shows no remorse upon arrest, and again, these are the very same people that DA Alvin Bragg wants to protect from deportation. That's the reason for the rapid releases over and over again, but now the chickens have come home to roost and someone in his own office was victimized by one of these criminals. So we're going to talk about this, but before we do, thank you to everybody who supports this channel via actualjusticewarrior.com/join.
Give me the money. Give me the money. Okay.
Next story about violence in New York City. Another story about it. A city where residents are already questioning why the flood of random attacks.
And this particular attack with an unusual twist clearly proves that nobody is immune to street violence.
So the local news pitches this particular story in 2 different ways. One that I agree with and one that I disagree with. And I'll start with what I agree with because I think it gives you an idea, a peek under the curtain that is New York City that you guys might not have out there in the audience. So first and foremost, the idea that you can be victimized no matter who you are in the city of New York is 100% true, because unlike other major cities where people drive into the downtown area, they do their business, go to work, whatever, and then go home back to the suburbs, in the city of New York, almost everyone takes the subway, almost everyone walks on the streets, and when you're walking on the streets in a densely populated small area, you can be encountered by a criminal no matter what area you're in. Obviously, there are safer areas of the city than others, but the fact of the matter is anybody, rich or poor, can be victimized by street crime in the city of New York, and this is why the city of New York actually has broken with other major left-wing cities across the country and elected Republican mayors in recent history. Again, Giuliani twice, Bloomberg 3 times, 5 times in a row they went in that direction because New Yorkers, rich and poor, end up experiencing the consequences of criminality. However, the first thing that they said, which is the part that I disagree with, is the idea that this is a rare crime.
And this particular attack with an unusual twist.
No, this is just not the case. Not at all whatsoever. In fact, it is not rare for the individual who ended up committing this crime or allegedly committed this crime, because guess what? He had been arrested 6 different times for similar instances. He is a suspected member of Tren De Aragua, and in addition to that, all 6 of those times, he was released on his own recognizance without any bail, despite the fact that he is an illegal immigrant and he should have been held for ICE to come and get him and deport his ass well out of this country. So no, this is not rare at all whatsoever. This is the typical story of a soft on-crime prosecution office, i.e. the Manhattan District Attorney's Office, in combination with bail reform, producing repeatable, observable results that create problems, not just in the city of New York, but in the state of New York as a whole.
The victim this time, an assistant district attorney here in Manhattan. She was confronted Sunday at her apartment in Midtown.
And the evildoer in all this, hitting her up for money and then engaged in a disgusting behavior.
So yeah, this man ended up in her apartment building, and yes, he ended up robbing her, but in addition to that, he also engaged in what is described by the local news as a disgusting behavior, which I will tell you is he started masturbating. The guy's a total psychopath. Again, this is somebody that they had custody over 6 different times, and this woman's office, the victim in this crime, the office that she works for, let him go all 6 times. All 6 times this guy was released back on the streets, and guess what? The chickens finally came home to roost, and one of the people behind his release, behind his soft on crime punishment, or lack thereof, ended up feeling the impact of that. And honestly, I'm glad she's okay. I don't want anybody to be victimized by criminals or anything of the sort, but good. I'm glad that she understands what regular New Yorkers have been understanding related to these criminals that they release on the daily, because it needs to sink in.
Well, that suspect, 25-year-old Brandon Samosa, will be arraigned at criminal court here in Lower Manhattan, but it will actually be a Bronx district attorney that prosecutes him. That's to avoid any conflict of interest, since the alleged victim is a Manhattan assistant district attorney. This is video of a smiling Brandon Samosa being led out of the Midtown South precinct on West 35th Street this morning. Police say at about 2 a.m. Sunday, he robbed a 38-year-old woman in the hallway of her Hell's Kitchen apartment building. He allegedly grabbed her purse, cell phone, and bank cards, and also performed a lewd act. The victim is a Manhattan assistant DA. She was not injured.
So a couple of things are obvious from this particular video. First and foremost, this guy, the alleged perpetrator in this particular instance, is laughing. He's jovial. He's having an absolutely fantastic time as he's been walked to the police car. And honestly, there is no reason for him to believe at this moment in time that he's going to face any consequences for his actions, because guess what? The 6 previous times that he robbed people, that he attacked people, he faced no consequences from the Manhattan District Attorney's Office. That being said, one of the hypocrisies of this particular story is that now that he's attacked somebody important, now that he's attacked an esteemed prosecutor at the Manhattan DA's office, all of a sudden, he is being held without bail. All of a sudden, he is being treated like the criminal and thug that he is known to be based on his previous arrests. However, I do want to give a note of a little bit of caution that it is potentially possible that this is the wrong person. That's why we say allegedly, because one of the last notable people to walk out of a courtroom that was flipping people off, if you guys will remember that iconic image, was actually somebody who was wrongly identified as a perpetrator among the group of perpetrators that attacked the police in Times Square. That guy who did the middle finger thing in that iconic image was not guilty of that crime. So in this particular instance, I just want to throw it out there that it is possible that he's an innocent person. But even if he's guilty, according to the Manhattan District Attorney's Office, he's still an innocent baby angel Aladdin who didn't do nothing wrong except try to masturbate in a hallway after a robbery, not because he's an insane psychopath, but in order to feed his starving family. Now, of course, this is being handled by the Bronx District Attorney's Office, so you could argue that the reason why he's not getting bail is because another DA has to take over, because they must recuse themselves because they're the victim in this particular crime. But the fact of the matter is, the Bronx District Attorney is the one district attorney in the city of New York that's worse than Alvin Bragg by the numbers, by the number of felony counts that are being reduced. This is definitely one of those you go after the powerful, all of a sudden you have consequences situation, and I find it really annoying and really disgusting that if this would have happened to you, to a woman that you knew, to somebody who worked a regular ordinary job, this same ADA from this same office who is the victim in this particular crime would have given him a slap on the wrist, would have given him another reason to smile, besides the fact that he's on TV being a criminal, being a thug. And I just want to say, the mass deportations for these illegal migrants, especially these new arrivals from Venezuela, these criminals, these gangbangers, can't come fast enough.
Police traced her stolen cell phone to a hotel on West 45th Street, which led them to believe the suspect is a migrant, and they were able to track him down. Samosa was arrested just last night. Police say he was using drugs on the street and had stolen items with him. Police believe he is part of Tren De Aragua. That's the Venezuelan gang that has preyed on people in Times Square and Central Park.
So did you catch that? The police department, the people who made the arrest of this individual, say the fact that he lived in a migrant shelter hotel, was something that gave them an indication that he might be an asylum seeker, asylum fraudster, illegal immigrant, whatever you want to call them. And the reason I think this is absolutely crucial is because you hear from a lot of people that the crime of illegal aliens in the United States of America so low, basically non-existent. And one of the reasons why it's so low in the statistics and basically non-existent is because for the most part in states across this country, your immigration status is not documented in the statistics upon arrest. That's why you get weird sentences like this, where a guy who's been in custody now 7 times since he arrived in this country from 2023 is speculated to be a migrant, is speculated to be somebody who came during that time, even though he lives in a migrant shelter. It's because the police actually can't collect that information. And by the way, it's not just true in sanctuary cities or sanctuary states like New York, it's true in 48 or 49 states in this country. So yeah, illegal immigrants commit less crime because we only document their immigration status far later in the process upon conviction, not upfront when they're being arrested. And by the way, this doesn't even count all the different times that they commit crimes that are reported where we don't have a suspect or there isn't an arrest. So you just are looking at an apples to oranges comparison when it comes to these statistics. But yeah, this guy was able to get away with it a bunch of different times. He finally attacked somebody important, and now all of a sudden consequences exist. All of a sudden the criminal justice system says, wow, this guy's a repeat offender after he attacked somebody important, not the time before that, which was the 6th time. Maybe, just maybe, we should hold him accountable. And then it's like, oh my god, this guy is a gangbanger and a psychopath. Oh my, we gotta do something about this, and again, hold him accountable.
Somoza is facing a number of counts, including sexually motivated robbery and burglary. He also has 6 prior arrests, all from this year, on similar crimes. And he's believed to have arrived in the U.S. in February of 2023.
6 previous victims? To hell with them. Screw them. This is the Manhattan District Attorney's Office. We got to go after Daniel Penny for defending himself and defending others on the subway platform. But in this particular instance, we're going to take it very seriously because one of our own was attacked. Now, if you're curious about Brandon Somoza's arrest record prior to this, I'd like to give you a quick rundown of all the different various crimes and point out that not all of them were let go by the District Attorney of Manhattan. Also, the Queens DA decided to give him slaps on the wrist post his starting to offend in the city of New York. But let's run through them and the dates so you can understand what a problem he was. And I also want to point out that if he's getting arrested this 6 times for these different crimes, the chances that he committed additional crimes that he was not arrested for are extraordinarily high. January 14th, domestic assault in Jackson Heights. Jackson Heights in Queens, so that's on the Queens District Attorney. June 11th, grand larceny in Midtown Manhattan, let go by Alvin Bragg's District Attorney's Office. June 29th, transit fare evasion in Queens, again let go by the Queens District Attorney. August 5th, grand larceny at the Queens Center Mall, Macy's. This is obviously in Queens. November 11th, arrested in connection with an April 23rd grand larceny at Times Square. So this guy arrived in the United States of America in February of 2023, and just this year he has 6 different arrests. One of them's for violence, some of them are for theft. You also have theft of public services with the fare evasion, and any one of these repeat offenses could have got him off the streets. And even if you're like, hey, they're not too serious, the fact of the matter is this is an illegal migrant that's living on the taxpayer dole, and he should not be allowed to keep reoffending in the city of New York. He should be turned over to ICE the first time he assaulted somebody while living in one of these shelters. But you know what? Those are just my thoughts. I want to know what you guys think down in the comments below. If you like the video, show them by leaving a like, subscribe for more content, follow me on the social media, support me via the support links in the description of this video. This has been me talking about an illegal migrant attacking somebody important and finally facing consequences. Till next time.